All right, and here we are live again. This is Thursday night. This is Retro Reload Podcast. This is episode 18, East Coast edition.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a few topics we're going to go over tonight. One is we're going to go over games that we like, but most people didn't like, or reviewers said the game's crap, you know. And we're going through things that got added onto systems or peripherals and all that, or systems that had spaces for add-ons but never really took advantage of those add-ons. So once again, I'm Charles, also known as Mr. Nikon.
I'm Philip, also known as Cashel.
And I'm Ian, also known as Bad at Chaos.
And we have one more here, but he's kind of muted right now. But
Yeah, he's driving along.
he's on his merry way home.
This is what he sees. So he won't be saying much today, but this is what he sees right now. So, games that we like that most people didn't like, or reviewers said, it's not worth it. I know, Cash, you got a game that you love, but...
Well, I forget which episode it was, but I talked about a buying experience at FuncoLand, may it rest in peace. And when I went to buy the game I was looking for, the guy tried to talk me out of it, and when I got home, I looked at reviews and I looked at message boards about the game, and they said all this bad stuff about it. But I tried it anyway, and I ended up loving it. I played through it at least 3 times, did everything I could, and I still have it today. You'll have to check out the older episode to hear the story in fuller detail, but that's what kind of made me think of this topic. It was a game that no one seemed to like. Really, no one I knew on the message boards or in real life or anything like that seemed to have a good opinion of, but I really enjoyed it. I have it in my top 20 games of all time, and like I said, I still have it today. So I'm wondering if anyone else besides me has some games like that, either to show off or that they played before. I have a couple to show off. I want to see what everyone else has too.
I've only really got one.
Okay.
I got Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom for the NES. It's...
I never played that.
It's not one of the better games, but I enjoyed playing it when I was a kid. I've never actually passed it. It's pretty tough getting to the final level.
I'll bet.
Yeah, I don't know, it's, one of the Mindscape games, and them and the Nintendo, they had a lot of pretty not too great games, but I had fun playing it as a kid, I'm still trying to pass it, but I don't know, it's fun, it's just, I think people don't like, the things where you could, just, the level, you could just endlessly scroll through the level, you just go, it's the same thing over and over again. If you just walk down the base of some of these levels, it just keeps on going. I guess some people don't like that, Like, I don't care, still fun for me, but I don't know.
Wasn't that the game you got for Christmas one year, and you showed us a picture of it
Yes.
of you doing it?
I got this, and Star Voyager.
All right,
Cool.
It was the best Christmas ever. With that gift.
Yes. Star Voyager, I kind of like this one, but it's a tough game, but I don't know. I remember one time I was playing it, and you have your main space station, your mothership, and I don't know for how long I just kept blasting my laser into it because some of your other space stations where you get refueled and all repaired and all that, you could blow them up. So I just kept blasting my lasers at the space station until it finally blew up. It said, base destroyed, game over.
It's like, oh, I wasn't supposed to blow that up.
It took like 20 minutes to do that.
It's like, what?
Do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why we decided to do that, but for 20 minutes we decided to shoot at the space station that just blew up.
That's pretty funny. Well, dang. I'm sorry you had to see the game over screen after all your hard work. That's disappointing.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny, actually. But
Ian, or Band of Chaos, do you have any?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I tend to like a lot of mainstream games. One game, I don't know. One game I can think of. Let me see if I can pull it out without knocking everything over.
Careful.
And I don't know if you can. Star Wars Clone Wars for GameCube, PS2. I don't know if it was on PS2. I know it was on the original Xbox as well. But you don't hear too many people talk about it because, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of like a lot of people kind of categorize it as like a movie game.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of, came out right around, episode 2, episode 3. But, I mean, it wasn't bad. I actually liked the multiplayer concept. It actually kind of.
Uh-oh. I think he's frozen.
uh-oh.
What about the multiplayer?
What about the multiplayer?
Well,
of course.
Oh,
can you hear me? All right.
I can hear you now.
Good
Yeah.
now.
If you want me to, I can.
Whatever's easier for you.
Okay, I just turned off my camera, I guess, for now. 'Cause whatever, I guess for more consistency, I'll turn off the video. Anyway, like I was going to say, back when the game came out, I never really heard too many people talk about it. The multiplayer was pretty fun. It was a lot like they had like a deathmatch mode, and there's also like kind of like a Star Wars Battlefront-like mode where you kind of had like all these AI players or robots that you kind of direct toward the enemy base or enemy control points you try to capture. So it's kind of the whole game kind of focused more on mechanized weapons and hover tanks and that kind of stuff. It was actually a pretty fun game overall. I really enjoyed it back when it was new. Another game that I can think of is Kung Fu Heroes for the NES. I really enjoyed that one. Especially in like 2-player mode. It's pretty, it's like a really rudimentary beat 'em up game. You don't really hear too many people talk about that. I think it's because it's kind of clunky in some respects, but I don't know. I find it's pretty enjoyable. Hopping around, punching people, and But I don't know, not too much to say about that game really.
Back to that Star Wars game, it sounds like it's pretty in depth for just a game based off a movie. Like it sounds like there's stats and things to collect and lots of discoveries to unlock or something like it. The way you
Yeah, if I recall, it's been a few years since I played it, but yeah, there was a lot of there's quite a few stuff you can unlock as far as like if I recall, there was like different vehicles you can unlock for multiplayer mode. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, I don't know. It was pretty fun, really. And not too many of the missions really took place during, like, that were actually shown in the movie. It was just kind of, I don't know. It was kind of like a spin-off, or just kind of like, little side stories that didn't really happen in the films. But yeah, that, and it was also produced by Pandemic Studios, which I don't think they're around anymore, are they?
I haven't heard the name thrown in a long time, so probably.
Yeah,
not.
I don't think so. Yeah, they made a lot of good games back in the day.
Yeah. They say.
Oh, another one I can think of. Another GameCube title was the Donkey Konga series. I mean, they had a little community that liked it, but I think by and large the general gaming public kind of ignored it, more or less because it was on the GameCube. And but if you think about it, it kind of started. It was kind of like the first real like plastic instrument music game. You know what I mean? Before Guitar Hero and
Yeah.
and all those other brands came out later on.
Yeah.
I actually
Yes.
played is either Donkey Konga 1 or number 2. All I know is one of them had a song by Hilary Duff in it, so I love Donkey Konga just for that. So, not gonna lie.
I think that might have been the first one. I don't know. I don't recall anymore. It's been years since I played those, but
Someone was just trying to get me to play. I was like, okay, let me see the song list. Yeah, yeah. Hilary Duff, let's play that. Like that's
hell yeah.
uh,
One thing I thought that was kind of interesting about the Donkey Konga series was that each region had a different song list on it. So, like, if you had the European version, it actually had different tracks on it. And, obviously, Japan had different tracks. I actually started, like, tracking down some of the, like, I had the first Donkey Konga in Japanese just for the sake of, playing the different songs on there. But, yeah.
that's pretty neat. I know that I thought they would have kind of like the same songs kind of throughout, maybe with some.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe like 50%, maybe a third of the songs are the same, but then, like the rest of them are kind of like more localized. But I know, like, for the European version, or at least the UK version, I know, like, obviously all the songs are in English, and they have a lot of, bands that we would probably be familiar with. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting just to see the different song listings. But, yeah, kind of cool.
I just remembered
Did you
another
ever
game I
play,
like.
the Agents for the DS? That goes to either of you. That just reminded me of something. Did either of you play that?
I have not.
Not Panic Chaos?
What game? I didn't catch it.
Elite Agents?
I didn't.
Elite something?
Oh, Elite Agents. Yeah, I remember hearing about it. I remember a lot of people, giving it pretty high praise, but I never picked it up myself.
It just reminds me because the song list in the United States version is different from the one that's in Europe, from the one that's in Japan. So that kind of just made me think of that, but that's another song. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense too, because I mean, there's different genres in different regions and stuff, and obviously, and then there's the obvious language barrier too. So, yeah, it's kind of cool to think about. Makes you wonder about other music games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, Mr. Mr. Nightclub.
I just remembered another game I like. I like Wrecking Crew a lot, which
Yeah, a lot of
This is a
people
fun game.
dump on Wrecking Crew.
I'm just
Yeah, I don't know why
It's a
people
fun
dump on it
game.
so much. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, I agree.
It's fine. I'm just bad at it, so I was like, this game's awful. I'm never played it.
I've been looking for a copy of Wrecking Crew '98. That looks kind of interesting. It was a Super Famicom version. It's kind of like a, if you will, HD remake.
okay.
And
I'm not sure if it had any additional content, but yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a fine game. I'm just giving it a hard time. I was just awful at it, so maybe because I was so young and didn't understand what was going on. I thought I was supposed to jump on Goombas or something, but no, nothing like that.
You just go break stuff
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't.
in the right order.
They need like a Rampage Wrecking Crew crossover.
Rampage was fun. Now that was a lot of fun. Just,
Rampage is funny.
yeah, it's
like,
funny.
I
liked
played
it.
I played in the arcade a lot, and you go destroy Gary, Indiana. I'm like, why? Gary is already like that.
But it has 76 phones.
You can tell.
Okay.
I always think you can tell like Wrecking Crew is a very made by Midway. It's very like Chicago stuff. Like us like living in Chicago, like we could destroy Berwyn. Like in all this like suburban Chicago, like we're destroying Berwyn.
Not the drink, right?
No, Berwyn.
Oh, okay. I thought you said.
If you ever guys get to watch Svengoolie, you'll probably know that Berwyn joke.
Wait, watch the what now?
Svengoolie. It's a syndicated
Nope.
show. Guy does these bad B horror movies and shows them all the time.
Kind of like a Mystery Science Theater thing?
Kinda.
Okay, I can get down with that.
Oh, love me some Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, high five. Well, I can't see you, but I know you received it. That is such a
Yep.
such a great show. So good. Do they still show that? Is that still in syndication at all? Like,
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so. No.
man, oh, so funny. Oh, oh well. I have a couple games to show off, and the reason I chose these two games is because I guess I'll preface this with, well, as you all know, I like RPGs, and one of my favorite strategy RPGs actually is Final Fantasy Tactics, and you may have not played it, but I'm sure you've heard of it in some capacity. It was praised for doing basically everything right. It's a great game. I've gone through it a number of times. And it was actually the first game to kind of get me interested in strategy RPGs. So when I went to look for new ones, I started just, doing research, whatever. And I found one right here. This is called Cardia, the Word of Fate. And every time I mentioned it or it was brought up in some way, everyone kept on comparing it to Final Fantasy Tactics. Because the game was not Final Fantasy Tactics or made by Square, it was automatically a bad game and barely anyone played it, let alone enjoyed it. But I've gone through it. I've gone through it once. I'm going to go through it again because there's 2 characters you can choose. And you can see both sides of the story. It's a really unique strategy RPG. At a surface level, it's kind of basic. I mean, you move your characters on the isometric grid and make your action, but the real fun comes from creating magic and weapons and armor and even like monsters with these magical cards called Cartia, and I just cannot get enough of it. And also the music. The music is so good. Even if you don't like this sort of game, definitely look at the soundtrack. Listen to a few tracks, and you'll see what I mean. It's really well done. And finally, for those who said it's nothing like Final Fantasy Tactics, nothing like Square, actually, the artist who is known for doing most of Final Fantasy's artwork, what's his name? Yoshitaka Amano. He designed all the characters in Cardia, so that's pretty big.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's kind of hard to find nowadays, and strategy games are a time sink, so it may not be one. But I definitely say if you like Final Fantasy Tactics, and you'll also like this, along with other games in that genre.
And what platform did you say this game is for? I didn't catch that part.
This is for the PlayStation 1.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
okay, cool.
It comes in a jewel case, but it's only 1 disc long. It's only like 30 hours for one of the campaigns. So, and you don't have to play both characters both characters to see the whole story. But I'm going to anyway because I enjoyed it so much. So there's that one. And kind of along the same line, I'm going to show another strategy game. This one's for the PlayStation 2. This is called Stella Deus. And what I like about this is that it comes from the creators of this really awful strategy game called Hoshigami, which no one liked. I'll tell you that right now. But they learned their lesson, and they made improvements in every way. And this is a good, I would say, 60 hours long. I spent most of my spring semester and part of my summer break. When this came out when I was still an undergrad, I spent most of the time during that playing this. So I can imagine how fun it is. But again, it got the same treatment by the reviewers and by the RPG community. It's not Final Fantasy Tactics, so no one paid attention or no one if they did pay attention, they're saying, well, Final Fantasy Tactics does this and it does that. Well, this game is not Final Fantasy Tactics. It is something different. So it just kind of drove me nuts that people were so closed-minded.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I have the same feeling with FPSs where it's like, oh, why isn't this Call of Duty? Why isn't this Halo? Well, because it's not. It's something different. Why can't it be different? You know what I mean? It's like,
Exactly. And that's kind of like, that's another thing that kind of inspired this topic. Because the game I was talking about in that earlier episode, they were both RPGs. They were both for the PlayStation 2. The only difference, well, there's a lot of differences, but one of the major differences is that one had a Squaresoft logo, the other did not. So they automatically which
Yep.
one's better. You know what I mean? So those are only two games I had to show off. I mean, my genre of choice, not many people like in the first place, but these two strategy games, they've taken away lots of hours of my life, and they're really great. I don't know why no one else feels the same way. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got for those.
That's all I really have. Unless
I'm trying to think of another one. Oh, another one. I mean, I think this game. I mean, most people really enjoy this game I'm going to mention, but
Yeah.
I think it was just kind of obscure, and so it didn't really get that much like attention. But it's actually pretty darn good. Alien Hominid for GameCube and PS2. It was originally a Flash game, like a Newgrounds type Flash game, and then they ended up making like a legitimate console, version of it. And so for those who don't know, it's basically the same creators who made Castle Crashers, later on, and it's kind of funny because they're same art style as Castle Crashers, but it's more of like a shoot 'em up than a beat 'em up. It doesn't have like the depth, how like in Castle Crashers you can kind of like go back in space. Well, this game doesn't have that. It's just more or less like a straight, Contra Metal Slug type, run and gun kind of game. It's actually pretty hard. It also has 2-player mode. It's pretty fun little kind of a hidden gem, I guess you can say. But yeah.
I've seen that before in stores. It's the one, like, the cover is like this bright yellow, round alien-looking thing. Am I thinking the same thing? I've heard. Or am I thinking?
Yeah. The alien's a little yellow guy. He has a really big head and a little stereotype laser gun. Yeah.
I see that a lot, and I just never bothered to, look at the back.
Yeah.
What it's about.
There's a lot of pretty funny comedy in the game too. Like there's a level where you're taking on like the USSR, and you jump on the back of like a giant like Yeti or something, and you're just eating people, and it's just chaos, just crazy stuff going on.
Another day in the life. I love it. That sounds like a lot of fun. Now I'm gonna check that one out. Now that sounds.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the same kind of like humor and kind of graphics that were present in Castle Crashers, you probably enjoy this game because it's really similar in that respect. But it's also it's a good challenge too, actually, for those who might be
Cool.
newcomers to shoot 'em ups. But yeah.
Awesome.
nice.
Very nice. Mr.
So,
Nikon, any other ones you can think of for this?
Not really.
All
What I
right.
got here.
He's broadcasting from a new location this time.
Yes.
So
I got all my
games.
games behind me.
And a dog next to you.
Yeah, where's he at? There he is.
Oh, I can't. Oh, guys, leave him.
He's full of energy. He's very hyper.
See that?
He's actually asleep now. But life of a dog.
Yeah, can't beat it. Yeah, like I said earlier, I have a lot of other games I can talk about, like, that are in this topic, but I won't. I think it's just an interesting topic to see how others feel about a game you like, and it's weird when you don't share that same passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like I said earlier, for me it's not so much like games that people really dislike. It's more of just like obscure titles that people might not have heard of. But yeah.
I remember you mentioned that one of the games you talked about said didn't get much recognition because it was on the GameCube. And I don't know why people think that way. I think the GameCube is great. Like, it's a powerful little box system. Like, I love mine. So, see, yeah, look at that.
It's got a handle. Come on.
I mean, yeah, you could punch people with that thing. It's a weapon.
And it won't break.
Yeah. You ever see that infamous X-Play episode where they're testing like the durability of the 3 consoles?
Yeah.
Like the GameCube one, like flat out. It's pretty funny. Hucking the systems out like a 2-story building, hitting them with like hammers and all kinds of stuff.
Blowing them
GameCube
up.
passed the test.
I didn't see that. I want to. That's awesome.
Yeah, go. You could probably. It's probably on YouTube somewhere.
It's on the YouTube somewhere, yeah.
The YouTubes, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like yours got some dust, but that's okay.
Yeah. I gotta play some more.
Don't we all?
And this kind of leads us into our next topic, unless you guys have any more.
I'm all set, really.
So
I can think of games that are awful that some people liked, but no.
That could be another show right there. So.
Yeah, that could be.
But yeah, so we could go to. So our second topic is add-ons to systems or peripherals to systems. Some systems took advantage of all the expansion ports, and some did not. So Nintendo is notorious for this.
So is Sega. I mean, I think Sega's even more notorious.
Well,
at least for the Genesis, anyway.
They used this stuff, but Nintendo did not. So, was it?
Something I'm not too knowledgeable about, so I'm really interested to learn about all the gizmos.
Yeah. How about you start us off with the Sega stuff, Mr. Nikon?
Okay, so let me start this off. So you had your Sega Genesis, which is just a Model 2 right here. They had their expansion port right here for your, which was for the Sega CD.
Okay.
Which is this big bad boy right here.
Wait, the Sega CD.
Yeah. This just slid right in like so. So then Sega is like, you know what? We need to go on to the future. So they came out with a 32X.
Oh my.
And that.
Oh my God.
And then how many power adapters you got? You got like 3 different.
You got.
Wall boards,
I've got 2 of them right here. The Sega CD had a different voltage than the 32X and the Genesis for some reason. So
you couldn't just use like the same kind of power adapter. You had to get a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And each cord, they're pretty close to the same size, so you could easily
mistake them.
Yeah. That's how they got them.
Nice.
You got your yellow for your Genesis and 32X, and your black for your Sega CD. Which there's also another thing they did for the 32X. If you didn't have a Sega CD, which some games you needed a Sega CD for 32X games to work properly, so they had a Terminator bus that would go into where the Sega CD attachment was, which I do not.
Really?
Yeah. And also
interesting. I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah. And then there was the what do you call it?
The
power base to play.
Yes. Master System games.
Do you have a power base?
I do not.
Okay. Yeah, those are pretty cool. I know they make like reproduction type ones now. Those look pretty cool. But
Yeah.
So how many
yeah,
outlets did you need to plug all that in? Like,
3. And they
yeah,
made a special power strip
yep.
for that. They could put all 3 blocks on the same power strip right next to each other.
Yeah, they aligned the holes on the sockets to be like horizontal instead of vertical, so that way, and they spaced them out so that way you could put the the big old power adapters plugged in there so they wouldn't
Yeah.
they didn't knock into each other or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
goodness,
And
it just sounds
going
like it was just a big old hunk of plastic.
powers. Yeah. Like another thing, like Nintendo,
Yeah.
they put like expansion ports on pretty much all their systems, and almost
Mostly.
never used any of them.
Well,
game-
in America.
Yeah, in America at least. The GameCube, they did use they had the Game Boy Advance attachment on there.
And they had a modem, and there
They
was
had
a
a modem.
Ethernet like broadband adapter as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
But
so
those are pretty limited use anyway. But
so you take your GameCube apart. You got all these little. There's like 3 ports on here, which I think in the U.S. we only one really got used.
yeah,
Just
pretty much.
GameCube.
Unless you were like a hardcore Phantasy Star Online player, but
Yeah. So, but
it's funny. I actually had a friend that actually played that online on the GameCube.
I had a question about the GameCube one, and also about Sega CD, but first the GameCube one because you're holding it up. Didn't the Game Boy Advance one? So I feel like I've played this before. You would put the game in the Game Boy Advance,
yeah,
plug it into a cord into the Game Boy Advance. That goes to the GameCube, and
Yeah.
that's just the TV.
yeah. The Game Boy Advance would sit on the bottom right here, and you would have to have the boot disc for the Game Boy Advance thing to even work.
Jeez.
Then it just plugged in
Yeah.
the TV like normal.
Oh.
Yeah, basically, yeah. The boot disk would just tell the system to basically just start, using the peripheral that you have attached on the bottom. Yeah. And it was pretty funny. I remember if you had one of those GameCube to Game Boy Advance link cables, you can actually, link up a Game Boy and then use an actual Game Boy Advance as your controller to control your game. So
Yes.
it kind of like defeats the purpose. Well, I guess maybe if you're, more comfortable playing on an actual Game Boy Advance rather than a GameCube controller, I guess that could be, useful, but it's just kind of silly.
What
I played with that. That was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I didn't like it, but that was when I had the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube. Working together.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing too. Like the games that actually utilized the Game Boy Advance link cable.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of some of them. Like Wind Waker had a pretty interesting use. Has anybody ever tried that? The
I have
Tingle, I think it was called the Tingle Tuner. No. Basically, you could have a second player controlling like this. You basically controlled Tingle, and you could like drop bombs or give Link invincibility. You can make Link float in the air, so you can actually like walk across like cliffs. Just float in the air. I don't know. It was pretty weird. Pretty strange little tool. Although the bombs were pretty useful. So the way it worked would be like, I forgot how many rupees it was, but basically every time you kind of had, like on the Game Boy Advance screen, you had a little crosshair that you controlled, and you kind of had like a map display, and you can kind of drop bombs on the map and kill things, that were maybe interfering with Link up on the, up on the television screen. But yeah, it would basically spend your rupees, and there's also a way to drain your rupees really quick. I only played it once like that. It was pretty strange experience, especially at the time I wasn't as familiar with Wind Waker, so it was just kind of weird watching this all like happen. But
So with this,
that was back when it was new.
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Was it?
Yeah.
No, I'm all set.
Okay, I was just going to ask, the Sega CD, wasn't that like featured on Time Magazine's cover one year, like Gadget of the Year or something?
I don't remember. I wasn't reading Time magazine back then.
Oh, well, I'm an intellectual, so no. I'm kidding.
Well,
Like, I could have sworn like it was either some video game console in the early '90s made the cover of Time, or at least was a featured story in Time. And I think it was the Sega CD. But
yeah. I think
That's hilarious.
right?
But funny thing about Sega, the 32X, when it first came out, it was what? First they sold it for like close to $200
Probably.
for like a few. It was for $200 for a few months, and like 5 months later, they're selling for like $20.
Wow.
And
So they took a loss.
yeah. So, yeah, and going back to Nintendo and their expansion ports, the NES, they had this. There's a little port underneath here.
Oh.
There's like an actual pin connector, which I don't know what they're
Yeah,
going to use it for.
No, yeah, I'm guessing maybe like if they ever brought the Famicom disk system over, if they ever brought the disk system over, maybe they could have used that,
Yeah.
but no, they never did. And actually, funny enough, there's this modder online who actually made a peripheral that can plug into that port on the bottom of the NES, and I actually have one of them. Too bad I don't have my camera to show you, but it's actually kind of interesting. He planned on actually making an Ethernet adapter that would hook up to the NES. He never ended up developing that yet, but one cool thing about the little adapter is that it actually has a port, like this. You know how like the Famicom had a serial port on the front that you could plug like a light gun in or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even a keyboard. But anyway, basically, I can actually use Famicom serial port accessories on an NES, which is kind of strange, but yeah.
I think it's this port right here. Port A on the Twin Famicom.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I think. Yeah, this guy right there. I think that's the expansion port. Yeah, this is another.
Does the 32X have any good games? Like, I know a few Sega CD games that might be kind of cool, but what about the 32X?
Virtua Racing.
No.
Wasn't there a notable fighting game that was on the 32X?
There's a couple. I think Eternal Champions had a enhanced version on the 32X.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the one I'm thinking of. I don't know.
Mortal Kombat had a more arcade perfect translation of Mortal Kombat 1 for the Sega CD, but the load for the I think Sega CD. But the load time was horrible. And then Night Trap on the 32X was actually remarkably playable and didn't look like you were looking through a sock.
Yes. Loud drunk. Toughman contest. Toughman contest out of 32X is pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've got like 3 games for the 32X actual cartridges, and this is probably almost half the games that they made for it. There's only like what, 30, 40 games.
Did Sega ever make any other peripheral type attachments or expansions for any of their later systems, like Saturn or Dreamcast?
I don't.
Didn't they have
they
like
did.
an external RAM thing, like extra space or something like that?
Kind of like the 64.
Maybe.
They did have a RAM cart for the Sega CD, which is what will
I
save,
knew they had
save the
that.
games. Yeah.
For the Saturn.
But yeah, like nothing. Nintendo again. They had their Super Nintendo had this little expansion port on the bottom there, which I guess this actually kind of got used in Japan for their the disc system. Kind of.
Wait, what system are you talking about? Super Famicom or regular?
Or Super Nintendo.
They had they had this, what do they call it? The SATA-View, which is basically like this.
Oh yeah.
Basically, you attach the peripheral to like a radio antenna, and you could intercept basically like transmissions coming from, I don't know what, I'm obviously not really familiar with the Japanese infrastructure of the time, but basically you could intercept signals that would, basically your system would download various games onto like a RAM card, and like some of them were actually kind of like unique or special. Like there was actually like a Zelda game that was on that service. There was a couple other notable like rare games on that service. Yeah. I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry. When you mentioned that, I got excited because the sequel, the Chrono Trigger, is on that satellite thingy too. The Radical.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. I know, like hackers on the internet have basically collected up over the years. Like people have these games stored on their RAM cards, and I guess the way some of them worked is that you downloaded them in like episodes.
Yeah.
So like this week we download part 1 of the game, and next week you download part 2 of the game, and so on. And anyway, so over the years, these hackers would basically they downloaded the RAM or ROM off of those RAM cards, right? And they basically reconstructed some of the games. Like I know, like I forgot the full title, but it's called like BS Zelda or Zelda BS or something like that. I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, now they've actually compiled like ROMs you can download of that game and actually play it like on an emulator or something. And I know people have also put them onto like reproduction carts as well to actually play on an NES or Super NES. It's kind of interesting.
That's so cool. And didn't the Super Nintendo also have like some form of a CD attachment as well? Like
no, that eventually became the PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
They were planning on a CD-ROM drive, and they were working with Sony, and basically their plans went south. And with all the research and development Sony did, they said, "Oh well, know what? We'll just since we already have all this work invested into developing like a CD-ROM based system, we'll just make a whole console." So they did, and then that's what became PlayStation.
Yep.
And funny enough, like what? Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, there's not really much else to say. I mean, it's kind of wild. Like, have you ever looked at the first PlayStation controller? Like before they added the analog sticks. I mean, it's pretty similar to a Super Nintendo controller, really. They just added handles, pretty much, and added extra, trigger, left and right trigger buttons, really.
Yeah. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not really too much more to say other than that, really. But that Nintendo, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like Nintendo pretty much made basically, at least in the gaming space. But
yeah, that's happened a few times like that. I think when Nintendo was coming with the NES first, I think they first approached Atari, said, "Hey, Atari, look at this. We want you guys to distribute this." Atari's like, "No, we got our own thing."
Interesting to know is that one of the designers of the original NES actually designed. I'm not sure if it was the whole ColecoVision or just parts of the ColecoVision.
Huh.
But there's a reason that the Nintendo was such a quantum leap ahead of everything else. Coleco was pretty much ahead for a while until everything kind of like started to fall apart, and then a guy that was like linchpin in the ColecoVision design jumped on board designing the Nintendo. So the Nintendo is about 80% a ColecoVision.
Well, yeah, maybe the NES. I know, like, basically, I remember the show Icons on like G4. No, I don't know. It's like a documentary series on G4. But anyway, they do interviews with different game developers and stuff throughout the ages. But anyway, I remember one episode they talked about briefly, like, the introduction of the NES, into the United States after the 83, video game crash over here. While Japan didn't really, have that. It wasn't as bad over in Japan. Obviously, they released the Famicom in '83, and so basically, when it came over here, instead of just releasing the exact copy of the Famicom, they had all the same components, or pretty much the same components as the Famicom, but they basically just kind of constructed the box. And from what I understand, the NES box itself, like the whole the whole NES design was actually designed, like you said, by like actual Americans over here that actually developed the American box NES design. But yeah.
I think they, when they're doing the design of, they wanted to have it function like a VCR, so it didn't look like a game system.
You look at it, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like an 8-track player more than it does a top-loading game system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole concept. Yeah.
So the Sega CD, like, if you were to buy that new, and you bought the 32X new, and might as well your Genesis brand new, like how much would you be out of pocket, like when all was said and done?
Brand new, the launch of the 32X, that's like $200. Probably the Sega CD was probably another $200.
What about, you mean like back then or nowadays?
Back then, like nowadays.
Oh, okay.
The 32X, which combined all of them, if I remember correctly, the 32X debuted at $400. Or not the 32X. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Not the 32X. The CDX.
Yeah.
400.
Oh, the CDX.
Wow.
Yeah, the CDX was 400 when that came out, but it combined all three. It combined the, or at least the two. It was a Sega Genesis and a Sega CD in one console.
So you don't get this and like 3 power AC adapters.
If I was a gamer back then, I might as well have gotten a Neo Geo or something at that price.
Yeah. An arcade cabinet Neo Geo at that price. I mean, price.
Almost.
Yeah. Neo Geo.
I forgot there was another good Sega CD game actually that came out. That was only Sega CD. Hook.
Like the movie.
Based on the movie, yeah, it was a platformer. What made it did come out for the Genesis as well as for the Sega CD, but what set the Sega CD one apart is they actually included clips from the movie, and the graphics and sound were much enhanced. So the Genesis game was okay. The Sega CD game was actually pretty darn good, and you can still pick it up complete for like $10 on eBay. So
sweet.
There's, I think it's called Pop Full Mail. It's a working design game for the Sega CD. I definitely want to try that, but other than that, I'm not sure if there's anything that kind of caters to my taste on the Sega CD. It just seems like a really cool piece of gaming history.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. There's only a small, real handful of games that are any good on it. And all the Sega CD full motion video games, you can find way better versions on other consoles.
Yes.
Or maybe even on PC. At least, yeah.
if you're into that sort of thing.
Who these guys are.
Yep. Who Shot Johnny Rock? You can find a better version on the CDI. If that's not a slap on the face to the Sega CD, I don't know what is. What's the other game that you got there? Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that was a pretty good game.
This is a fun game. Brutal
Ninja, Paws of Fury.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, I've seen. I remember seeing video game ads for that back in what's that? Game Player. Game Player had a full spread of it. Wow, what's that?
And also Ground Zero, Texas.
Ground Zero, Texas, only on Sega.
Yes.
Texas, y'all. Nope.
Now I guess here's the deal. With Ground Zero, Texas, that could have been a great light gun game if they actually let you use a light gun.
Yeah.
And wasn't there a light gun for the Genesis?
There was the Justifier from Konami that came with Lethal Enforcers, but they did not code Ground Zero Texas as a gun game, unfortunately.
And this game, you need the RAM card for it.
Okay.
And this is a 2-disc game.
Huh.
I heard that in that game that the acting is so bad that when you kill people, you can see them smiling and laughing as they die. Is that true?
Sometimes, yes.
Wow.
That's great.
Now I want to see some footage of it. So
I know, right? That makes me actually want the game. Is the terrible acting?
I wouldn't want the game for that. I do want to just see what the big hullabaloo is, just to see what it's all about.
I know you skipped over the topic, but since you've already done the topic while I was driving home. But the games that most people hate, but I love.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna talk about. Shaq. I don't love that game. It's an okay game. I enjoy the game. I don't love the game, but Night Trap actually. I was shocked that Night Trap is actually a remarkably fun game to play. Not on the Sega CD. I play it on the 3DO. I think if you're playing the 32X version, because the 32X version and the 3DO version, it's mostly full screen, the video, and the color palette is pretty wide. So as an indie filmmaker, I think maybe I appreciate more than maybe some other folks. It's impressive that
color banding or whatever.
Yeah, what I thought was really impressive was that they were able to get consoles of that era to play any frame rate worth of full screen, full motion video and do it in an interactive way. I mean, it's very convincing when you're flipping from camera to camera that there's actually, you're not just playing footage. It's very convincing that there's stuff going on in this house in multiple parts of the house, but you can change the course of those events. So if you think about the time that it came out and the hardware that they had to work with, it's very, very impressive, and it's incredibly challenging to actually. You want to enjoy the story and you want to see what's going on, even as slapstick and campy as some of the acting and stuff is. You still want to know what's going on, what's happening, and when there's 3 different rooms where there's parallel video footage going on to actual other rooms being invaded by monsters and stuff that you're supposed to be capturing, it's really interesting because your need to see what's going on in the story sometimes wins out over you're supposed to capture the monsters or you're going to lose the game. So you find yourself getting a certain way in and then maybe purposely throwing the game because no, this time I want to see what they're talking about in the side room while the other 2 are doing something else. So.
Or you just want to focus in the shower.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, but before we transition, I just wanted to mention though, wasn't there a Kickstarter to make an HD remaster of Night Trap? Because apparently, the director actually has all the 35mm film or something.
Yeah, and that's I guess why I brought it up. Because it does actually have a pretty good following currently. There's a lot of people that have kind of come out, I guess, of the closet, so to speak, and said, no, I love Night Trap. It's a great game, right? But the problem is, the people that are the most vocal seem to be, all the haters because the Kickstarter project did not get fully funded. Everywhere from Kotaku to IGN slammed. This was the original people. This was Tom Zito and the other
original
folks.
Director.
Yeah, it was the director, James Riley, I think. The original director and the original producer have the footage on 35mm, right? And they even showed some of the footage, and just haters going, oh, you can't. It was probably shot with a handy cam. You can't make that HD. Blah blah blah. You can't make a game with $300,000. They basically the haters destroyed the fundraising campaign, just ripped it to shreds. And I'm a member of there's a private Night Trap group on Facebook where they were talking, behind the scenes about the fundraiser and stuff. And from everything I've seen, as of last month, I think it's official that they have no intention now or anytime in the near future of trying to reboot the remake. They're done. The anti-fans have spoken. They don't want it. They don't think it's viable.
Yeah, it's BS.
So they're not even going to try it. So that's a shame. So, because I think it's a decent game. It's a game worth a comeback, and it could be awesome on current gen systems.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's really? You're just gonna, badmouth them out of existence? Why do you care if somebody makes a bad game or not? You know what I mean? It's nobody's making you buy it.
Maybe
you don't have to buy it. You can just shut up now.
Yeah. What I thought would have been cool is that in the current gen systems, like a PS3 or a PS4 or whatever, they've actually got enough horsepower where one of the most, I guess, annoying, but I can understand why they did it that way. One of the most annoying things about the game is that you have like thumbnail pictures of the different rooms, like a still frame, and you actually have to cycle through them to see what's going on in that room. Well, now we have enough horsepower, they could actually play all the footage in parallel, and you could see little thumbnail like size, the quote live footage of what's going on, and it would totally change the game. I mean, just all the different modes and remixes they could do with today's horsepower with the same footage. There's a ton of stuff that they filmed for the game that never went into the original games because they couldn't fit it on the CD. I mean, there was footage that they shot where you could actually capture the leader of the of the Sega Control Attack team.
Oh.
And that never actually made it into the game. But there was tons of stuff like that would have been great to see, and we won't see it because of the haters. So thank you, haters. You killed a good game.
Send Rob after you had to kill them all.
Exactly, Rob the robot.
In Smash Brothers, he's actually one of my better characters to use.
Rob?
Rob the robot was in Smash Bros?
I was at a convention about a year ago, and there was a Smash Brothers Brawl table, and someone already chose Marth. So I was like, well, I don't want to be the same character. So I just went with Rob, and I won. Not me.
Yeah, Rob's been in Super Smash since Brawl.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to get the newer one and play as the dog and the duck from Duck Hunt.
Yeah, I like him.
Oh, Bandit Chaos, question. Like, is Mewtwo... I think you mentioned this before, but I was talking with my brother today, and he got Mewtwo for the new Smash Brothers, and he says he's really fun, but he also said a lot of people don't really care for him that much. How do you feel about him?
I like him. I think he's like they balanced him a lot better than he was in
Melee.
Melee. Yeah, he's definitely a bit higher tier, I'd say. But I don't know. I haven't really played too much online to see how people are utilizing Mewtwo.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm just kind of going off what I've personally played, like with friends physically. So yeah, I haven't really seen how people are really using him. But I don't know. I enjoy him so far.
Well, when I visit the Buckeye State this month, it's basically April, and it's basically May now. I'll give him a shot and see what I think. I'll let you know how he is.
Sure.
Cool.
So we're just about out of time. Do we have anything like any other peripherals we need to mention?
The pocket stick. Just kidding. No.
There is the Zapper.
Or there's also the Famicom disk system.
Yes.
Super Game Boy.
Which I do not have, but I do have.
I have a disk system.
The Twin Famicom.
Oh, you have a twin. Well, there you go. Does the disk part work?
Oh yeah, it works fine.
Sweet.
Have you had to replace the belts at all?
I have not yet. When I did get this, it wasn't reading right. I had to do a slight adjustment on the read head, which is
how hard is that to
simple
do?
It's just take the top off. It's a little tiny Allen wrench, and just loosen the little spindle back to the 0 position, tighten it down.
Oh, okay. That sounds a lot easier than the actual Famicom disk system, because I'd heard like you need like calipers and like you need to like adjust it very precisely to get it to work. But
I just did a little Allen wrench and it worked fine.
Tell us the truth, Charles. You just banged on it until it worked.
No. That was the dog.
I mean, mine works like, I don't know, like 50% of the time. It definitely needs some kind of, fix up. But
it's the Famicom disk is very finicky, but
yeah, I mean it was pretty cheap, but yeah.
And then
it had some pretty cool games on there, though. I mean, like the original Zelda, the Metroid, Kid Icarus. All those were on there, and the thing that was really sweet about them, in comparison to their North American counterparts, was that they all had the ability to save, right on the disc. Like Metroid, you're able to save, no password system. Same thing with Kid Icarus. And then, of course, yeah, same thing with that game. Yeah, so it's pretty cool in that respect. And then, of course, there's a bunch of little exclusives that were there that didn't make it to the States at all, like what the hell do you call it? I can't remember the name of the castle, but basically it's like the mystery of like Mazurmo Joe, or I don't know what the heck it's called, but basically he plays that little ninja guy or samurai guy chopping up ninjas.
You could say Doki Doki Panic to a certain extent.
Doki Doki Panic.
Yeah, I have that somewhere. I have that complete. It's pretty sweet.
You guys have All Night Nippon?
No.
I wish.
That is not cheap.
That is not cheap. I got a pretty good deal on Doki Doki Panic though. Like, I got it complete with like the manual and the original little, like the little plastic outer. Yeah, the outer sleeve for like $40 or so. That's usually you can get. Yeah, usually it's like just the, without the manual, just the loose thing is like $40. But what else do I got? Oh, Bubble Bobble for that, which actually isn't any different than the NES version. But I was hoping for like maybe different music or something. But
versus Excite Bike, which is a fun game.
Yeah.
Which that never really came over here. It was on the arcade systems.
Yeah, well, I think it was pretty much the same thing, wasn't it? Oh, I think there's also versus Excite Bike, and what was the other one? I don't remember.
Yeah, I got versus Excite Bike on a Zelda disc.
Oh, I told us that a few episodes back.
Yeah, that's when I first got it. It's not, the disc system's not working. I just fixed it. I put it in. I'm gonna play Zelda. No, it's versus Excite Bike. Like, oh.
Yeah.
But it's a fun game, regardless.
Yeah.
Let's see, just system bubble. Oh, and then you kind of have the the precursor to the Mario Kart series, the Famicom Grand Prix 3D Hot Rally. Yeah, that's a pretty cool little game.
The 3D glasses.
Yeah, they had like the 3D glasses that you could wear. You don't have to use the 3D glasses, but the thing that was cool about it.
Those red and blue lens glasses, those ones you got like it. No?
There were this big
Shutter.
I think it ran on AA batteries. Oh.
What the hell?
There you go.
Google Glass.
Okay, Mr. Google Glass.
Oh, and of course you got, then you got the Japanese release of Super Mario Brothers 2, which we know over here as the Lost Levels. That was originally released on the disk system.
Yes.
And that samurai game I was mentioning earlier is Nazo no Murasame Jo, or basically the mystery of Murasame Castle. Yeah. It's a pretty fun little game. It's really similar to it's like a linear version of Zelda, but with more of a focus on action than like puzzle solving. Cool. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's really reminiscent of Zelda if you look at a screenshot, but it doesn't really play too much like it, other than the hack and slash elements. But
okay, awesome. Anyone else have any closing comments, thoughts, great thoughts about anything?
I don't. I just was actually given this by one of the folks at work. It's one of the Google Glass devices. I haven't actually tried to use it yet or whatever, but he said to go ahead and have a blast with it for the next couple of weeks and tell him what I think of it. So, cool. But maybe gaming related, maybe not. I'm going to see if there's any augmented reality gaming type stuff out there for it, and maybe I'll talk about it on Tuesday.
I wonder if you could watch our the podcast live of that on. You could watch us live and do it at the same time. So.
Ooh, that
could be incredibly dangerous. I'm definitely not going to wear it while driving.
It'd be cool. You can get like a first-person view of what you're doing, and you could just watch you drive, like looking around. checking your blind spots.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I could do like what I do with That's what I try to do with the camera. I'm trying to get like a passive mode, just kind of like see the dash V dash cam.
You know what you do? Like I said, you put it in your blind spot, and then you ask us if there's anybody there. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, am I clear, guys? Yeah. Yeah.
There's no one there, but some.
No one there. No one there. Wait! Break!
Look out for the cement mixer.
Fuck.
You got Ponch and John right on your tail.
I don't get it.
You never watched Chips? Ah.
Oh yeah. You know, we never did. We never got a Chips video game. We never got an A-Team video game. We never got a MacGyver video game.
Oh man.
Well, when I learn to program, all your dreams will come true.
You'll set all those wrongs right.
Yeah, I will.
Some.
Yep.
I will throw money at the
Crossover
screen until something happens.
What other video games do we need? We've had a Knight Rider video game. And
Yeah, we did have a Knight Rider video game. It was like a Bad Rad Racer knockoff.
yeah. It's like they took Mach Rider and put Knight Rider in it.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have called it Mach Rider.
You know what they need? They need a Showgirls video game. I mean, I'd play it top to bottom, but that's just me.
Top
No,
to
no.
bottom?
I see
Uh-huh.
you play Showgirls top to bottom. I see what you did there.
I love that movie. It's hilarious.
Then it's funny when they show it on when they were showing it on VH1,
Yeah.
and they just put the black boxes over everything. I'm like, oh.
Family Guy
Just
skit.
blacken the whole screen.
Yeah, on TBS. Aww. That's...
Striptease, the video game.
With Demi Moore, yeah.
Pocket Pool. You ever heard of that one? No.
Yeah,
That's for
that
like
was
the- That was a PlayStation Portable title.
Seventh Guest had a reference to that too, didn't they?
Did they ever do a Labyrinth video game?
I don't think so.
No.
There is a game called Labyrinth for Sega Genesis, but it's not based on the movie. It's
No.
something different.
So we don't get to see David Bowie's insane bulge.
Yeah. Labyrinth, featuring David Bowie and David Bowie's package.
Oh, man. I'm going to tell everyone now to check out VG Collect and check out our Facebook page and YouTube and all that good stuff while I'm thinking of it.
Yes. As we're going way off topic into the gutter now, we should end the show.
And next week,
We're
next
going to end the show in the gutter?
Well, we're talking about David Bowie's package. Come on.
You were talking about it. I was just listening and enjoying.
He's enjoying it. But like I said, on next Thursday, hopefully my friend who works for Nintendo Life will feel better. He has the flu now.
Get well soon.
Yes, get well
Nintendo
soon.
Deaf.
When you watch, and he would love to come on and chat with us.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you all for watching. Remember, Tuesdays and Thursday nights, tune in for more of our topics and our off-topic random banter. Anyway,
Yeah.
Once again, I'm Mr. Nikon.
I'm Cashel.
I'm Bad at Chaos.
And I'm good at chaos, but they call me Dash Beat.
Okay, thank you all for watching,
Sweet.
and see you all next week live, and enjoy watching our videos on YouTube after the shows. And if you guys have any comments, just put them in below the video, and we may reply to them in future videos. Thank you all for watching. Good night.